Hey, I am going to talk about my experience in the foster care system. Now, this is a bit of a horror story, so I really hope that any foster parents out there don't take offence to this. I hope that if you're a foster child yourself, that you are not suffering any forms of abuse. If you are, make it known. And anyway, here I go. So I was fostered out. I don't even really know what for. Um, really, I think it was, when I started to become, I suppose, my own little man. Um, you know, my mother suffered, um, uh, you know, suffered abuse, heavy abuse as a child. She made this known to me. She was repeatedly raped. Suffered, violence and witnessing violence and really abandonment issues from her father leaving one day, never returning. This is why I forgive and understand so much of her torment that was given to me. However, um, this isn't about her. This is about my experience in foster care, and it goes like this. So, look, I was taken by the police one evening and taken to Frankston Hospital. I wasn't sure really what I was taken for. Um, I wasn't, because again, I wasn't arrested. I didn't, there was no crime committed. Um, but, it was just pretty clear that my mother didn't want me in the house anymore. Um, and that's okay. I was happy to leave. And I just wasn't sure at the time where I was heading and what I was in for. But look, I was taken to Frankston Hospital. I wasn't sure why I went there. When I kind of, was put in the divvy van and, ended up at Frankston Hospital, it was the last place I was expecting to go. I thought, maybe I had done something. Maybe it was something unrelated to, I just wasn't sure what was going on. However, I was, let out and wasn't in handcuffs or anything like that. And I was put into a waiting room in the Frankston Hospital. And I attempted to leave. I was waiting around for about an hour. Mind you, it was about 8:30, 9 o'clock. And I thought, not that far from home, I could probably get the last bus back. But when I attempted to leave, I was apprehended by the hospital security, and I was told that I can't leave and I had to remain in the room. And this was really bizarre. I thought, what is going on here? No doctors came and spoke to me, no nurses came and spoke to me. Thankfully I was tired, and I woke up in the morning and one of the nurses, I was just standing looking out at the windows, and a nurse came and said, am I hungry? And I said, yeah, I am. And she brought me a sandwich and a juice box and said that someone will be here at 11 o'clock to see you. That was Warren. I think his name was Warren. And he was from the Department of Human Services in Frankston. And I didn't know what the DHS or the Department of Human Services was. I had nothing really to do with them at all before. But look, he did turn up. He was on time, and he pretty quickly let me know that I wasn't going back home, and that we were going to look for another family for me. This was strange, yet it wasn't something that bothered me, because where I was coming from was a very, very toxic, abusive environment. So it was really, thankful. I was quite thankful, really, that I was going. Okay, where to next? And it just wasn't as easy on that first day to find a home for myself. So I remember sleeping another night in the offices of the Department of Human Services office in Frankston. I think it's where the corrections place is now. Somewhere there. Back then, and I'm not sure what it is now. But again, it was just another bizarre experience. Um, but it was later, just towards the end of the day. It was towards the end of the day that I was told that a family were going to take me, and it was in Narre Warren, and I'd never heard of Narre Warren. I'd never been to Narre Warren. Um, I was pleased that it was right behind Fountain Gate Shopping Centre where I was going or where I went. And, about 6 o'clock, that evening, Warren and I drove out to Narre Warren, and it was where I first met the foster family that I was, going to live with. I don't remember the male's name, unfortunately, but I do remember Melanie's name. And Melanie had a son, Luke, and they were from Queensland, and they were living down here now with, he was a plasterer, quite a big guy. And one of the first bizarre things that happened when I opened the door was I thought, wow, she's actually quite pretty and young. I mean, I was only 15, 16, and she was only, I think, 10 years older. So my first impression was a pleasant one, I suppose. However, it was a very, very, I mean, if you can imagine it yourself, you're a young, adolescent kid, and, you're told your parents don't want you at home anymore, and it's a relief, and you end up in a suburb you've never been to before, having to spend the night and eat dinner that night with these complete strangers. Yeah. And anyway, so all things, I suppose, started out relatively okay. But one night, the guy was out, and Melanie said to me, have you ever smoked a bucket bomb? I replied, no, I hadn't smoked a bucket bomb before. But anyway, it wasn't long before I was shown how. This was the first, I guess you could call it an inappropriate thing to be doing. But it became more inappropriate as time went on. I won't say much more than that. But it was really quite, when I think about it now, it wasn't a safe place for me to go. As cool as I thought it was at the time, maybe, it still made me feel uncomfortable even then. But where else was I to go? It wasn't long before the man of the house kind of got the feeling that something was wrong. I mean, Melanie was driving me around and looking for rental properties and had these ideas that we were going to move out together and all this, kind of nonsense really, because it was something that I certainly wasn't thinking about. However, it did get to the point where the male knew that, she wanted to leave. He obviously blamed me and, lifted me off the ground and, choked me while screaming in my face, threw me down on the ground and, like literally tried to kill me. Incredibly, I got away, and from the phone booth rang 000, and it was incredible that, that night I was in another foster home that was in Cranbourne. So this is when Cranbourne was just starting to kind of build those new housing kind of places, and I woke up after that traumatic experience in another traumatic experience, which was in another house full of strangers. These people were kind, were nice to me, but I just wanted to go. I wanted to just leave. I wanted to go back to my friends. I wanted to be my own person. I just did not want to live in someone else's house, especially after, the last foster family tried to kill me and did all the other stuff. I just lost all faith in the foster system. And it's why I'm talking about it now, because I want people to answer for it. And I want to help people, who could be suffering at the minute, um, and let them know that, hey, I've been there. And if you're suffering, call me. I'll come get you myself. But it was pretty full on. Um, so really, that was I was only at the new foster home for about a week, and I remember calling someone, and I just got out of there. So I just left and went and lived with um, my friend and his family until I moved to that place in Canada. So my video I just did today before um, was, it's all full on, really. I've had a crazy life, and this is why I enjoy sharing it because, if we all kind of feel like we're suffering somehow, I think, and I mean, even the Buddhists, Buddhism is, life is suffering, and I just don't believe that. I don't believe it has to be that. If we've resolved that life is suffering, well, I suppose that's why suicide is such a viable option for so many today. And I just think that that's rubbish, and that life isn't suffering. It certainly doesn't have to be. I mean, life is beautiful, and if we've resolved that life is suffering, I think that we're doomed. So, that was my experience in foster care, and I'll see you tomorrow.